Welcome to the 1000 Comics Podcast. How you folks doing? This is your host, Matt Heath. I'm chilling here in my recording studio with my turtle Sheldon. Today's show, I got a great show for you guys. Mega Harrison is on the show. Dr. Mega Harrison, great CT comic, a student of Yale. Oh, she brought her boyfriend Chris along. She brought her boyfriend Chris along for the ride to do the podcast with her. He has a few funny anecdotes, so just know that there's another person in the room in my interview with Mega. We had a great time. Recording. They even stayed I think almost an hour later after the podcast, just hanging out. I think more beer was consumed before and after this podcast than any other podcast I've done so far. So I'm chilling with doctors and getting nice and sauced. And I think I made them late for a thing they were filming with Cliff Mula. So keep an eye on Cliff Mula's YouTube page. I think there's going to be a funny video, and he makes pretty professional, funny videos. So I would keep an eye out for that. Speaking of my turtle Sheldon, I just saw on Instagram the other day that the turtles from the original Rocky movie are still alive. You know? Cuff and Link. My two favorite movie turtles. I mean, I guess I can't. I mean, they're real turtles. The Ninja Turtles aren't real turtles. But Cuff and Link, they're still alive. Sylvester Stallone posted a picture with them on Instagram, and I was thinking, damn, they should have put those turtles in the other Rocky movies, you know? Like, they could have been in Rocky 3. I pity the fool who's got pet turtles. Hey, if you mention my turtles again, I'll bite your fucking ear off. They could have been in Rocky 4 when he gets real rich. Hey, I should put these things in a proper terrarium finally. Anyways, before we get into that interview with Mega Harrison, I just want to say that my books are out there. You can buy my books on Amazon.com. Just type in the search bar Matt Heath. All three of my plays will pop up. Pawnbrokers, Renaissance Men, and Scared Out of the Dickens. So if you guys want to buy them, they're pretty cheap online. Check that out. Also, you can come see me at a show on September 19th at Comics at Mohegan Sun. So check that show out. And please enjoy this interview I did with the lovely Dr. Mega Harrison. Welcome to the 1000 Comics Podcast.
Woo!
I'm here with my guest, Mega Harrison.
Yeah, that's right.
I almost got it wrong for a second there.
What were you going to call me?
Megan.
Oh, but you called me Mega Harrison, which is actually, that's correct. Like, sometimes I just say one mega.
It's full mega?
But actually, it's Mega Harrison.
I knew it.
It's short for that.
And Mega brought her boyfriend along for the ride today. Here.
Not a comic. He's not a comic. He does not contribute
Comic
to
relief.
Your count of 1,000 comics. He is just a person. He is just a man.
What's your last name, Chris?
It's Martineau.
Martineau. It's funny. I used to work with a guy in a kitchen at a bar named Fernando. He had the exact same T-shirt you're wearing, the one with Curious George on it.
He wears that.
I live up to its standard.
Most of the time. He wears it almost every day.
Right.
Doesn't bother me.
Sounds like there's some sarcasm there.
Doesn't
You
matter.
really don't like the shirt.
No, actually, I love that shirt. I love Curious George. I used to collect things with Curious George from Suncoast Video when I was a really cool teenager.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm. So
What did you collect from Suncoast that?
they had all kinds of Curious George. They had, like, my friends would buy me gifts. Like, they had a little drum that was Curious George. I had a little Jack in the Box that was Curious George. I had Curious George that, like, he could balance on a string. And then I collected this! A man wearing a shirt that has Curious George on it.
Did you see the Curious George movie where Will Ferrell played the man in the yellow hat?
You know, I didn't. I have not seen that movie. I can't speak to that.
For some reason, I saw that. The girl I dated in high school wanted to see that, and I saw that movie in theaters.
Well, yeah, you made a good move. Because, like, you went along to see the movie that she wanted to see. Like,
Yeah.
There's a movie that I wanted to see with my high school boyfriend, and he wouldn't. And I'm still mad about it.
What movie was that?
It was Center Stage. It was about ballerinas. It remains one of my favorite movies. It's not a good movie.
And he
wouldn't do it.
might have been the one sitting here with you today if he had actually taken
you know what?
you to see
you know
that
what kind
movie.
of movies I saw? I saw submarine movies with this man. And he wouldn't go to see a ballerina movie with me. Compromise. It's important in relationships.
What submarine movie?
Like the one that has Bon Jovi in it?
Not even the Guns of Navarro?
Dude.
You know, I've never seen the submarine movie with
I
Bon
don't want
Jovi.
to watch any submarine movie is like my bottom line. Never. There's nothing exciting.
The Guns of
You're like
Navarro
under,
is really good.
It's not, the action isn't good, the outfits aren't good. Like, get out of here with your submarine. Ugh.
I don't even think I'd ever want to be in a submarine. Like, it just
Maybe
seems
for
like
a minute.
it's just to check it out,
You're like,
maybe.
oh,
But
yeah,
I don't
this
think
is
I'd.
bizarre.
Would you actually want to go down
I
under?
was thinking about that the other day.
You know the submarines that the drug lords make? I want to do that. I want to be in one of those. They make submarines.
A drug lord? You see,
Not drug lord. I don't know enough about the drug world, but like the drug traffickers build submarines.
There's people that traffic
I'm
drugs
all into
in
it.
submarines.
Yes, they build the submarines too. They build a submarine.
Where did you read this?
They dig giant
You know
tunnels,
what? I
too.
don't know.
I'm assuming you read it because
I might have read
if there was a
it, I might have
YouTube
seen
video,
it.
I probably would have
There
seen it
is,
already.
yeah. You should Google it. You should Google a few things. Today, I've been Googling knees that look like babies are coming out of them.
What?
Yeah.
Knees
I didn't know
that
it
look
was a
like
thing.
babies.
Yeah, like
What
it
if-
looks like a baby's face on you. Not my knees. My knees are wonderful.
I had to check because you
There's a
lifted up
bruise
your
on
knee
mine.
like there was
I know.
something wrong with
Mine's
it.
like a bruised baby. But there are women's knees that have like it looks like a face of a baby coming out of it.
I saw
believe you.
one of the pictures, and it looked like two babies that she was, like, kneeling
Smuggling
on.
in her knees.
Before we get into the real questions of this podcast, I have to mention what happened on the way when you guys came in. I had to literally dive. Well, I was more of a fall. I think
Very
it was a
athletic
strategic.
fall.
It was a strategic fall on top of my dog, so it wouldn't escape.
I can
I
tell
was
you've
and
been
terrorize the
trained-
neighborhood.
I can tell you've been trained in falling like the right way. You know how you. And by the way,
Do you think it was like a good
No.
comedic fall? Like it was
pretty
like
funny.
yeah? It was like
Well,
I
a
thought
little
it was like, oh
dramatic,
fuck, I'm
though.
in trouble if this dog
yeah,
gets out.
it was a little like, oh no. But you didn't tell me you had a dog, and you also were like, oh, do my podcast. And I was like, sure. And then you said, not enough white women do my podcast. Why didn't you just tell them you have a dog? Like, that's what will bring the white women in.
you know, if more white women even listen to the pod.
You just gotta ask and
Yeah.
say, I have a dog. And listen, I have a dog. I know it sounds creepy to be like, hey, you want to do my podcast?
I got a
I
dog.
got a
You're a
bitchy
nice white
dog.
woman.
So technically, my fiance's dog.
Mhm.
Her name's Miranda. She doesn't actually
The
get a
dog's
lot
name
of.
is Miranda,
She doesn't
right?
get a lot of mention on the podcast
Yeah.
because she's never in here for the turtle behind you.
Oh.
Gets a lot of
Love
gets a
that
lot of
turtle.
airtime. Sheldon or Shelly still haven't
Mm.
Took a quick
That's
like.
really
still haven't
creative.
figured out the
Shelly.
gender.
Creative.
Just gotta turn it upside
And there's
down.
another
Look
little
at
turtle decoration outside.
Yes, you know something? It's funny that you mentioned that because the way the turtle outside is looking inside, Sheldon there on the rock is usually looking outside at it. Like, I think
Hey.
they're like it's like unrequited love. I've always
Or maybe
said.
it's like that's God.
Oh, yeah. Which one is God? They both think the other one's
That
God.
one, it doesn't move.
Yeah. Oh, that's intense. I'm just like a thinker. He's a philosopher.
So not only did we talk about how I didn't have enough white women on the podcast, somehow that conversation led into eating disorders.
Yeah. Yeah, that came up. And I was like, yeah, eating disorders. And you became very uncomfortable. And I was like, what do you think?
No,
I'm not thin enough to be a convincing sufferer of an eating disorder? And then it threw me into an entire loop for the week.
Well, it's like I was the one saying things that were controversial, like, I feel like all female comics have eating disorders.
And I was like,
either they're really overweight or they have the kind where they're thin. And I'm like, I'm not saying you have an eating disorder, and you're like, actually, I do. And I was like, that's when it became uncomfortable for me.
Oh,
Yes.
that was my favorite. It was so good. And then, Brian Barganier was talking about, having a scale to weigh himself, and I was thinking, I had a boyfriend who brought home a scale, and I never slept again because I was weighing myself all the time. Yeah, it's not good. I think it's funny, and I know it's something that makes people very uncomfortable.
I feel like I'm developing an eating disorder watching Brian Barganier do stand, because he used to be one of the funny fat guys, and now he's like, I lost 80 pounds. Like, he's got to mention it every time he's on stage. Just fuck
and
you,
it's
dude.
always more and more pounds.
Rub it in.
And he's a skinny bitch, and once you get the taste of being a skinny bitch, you're not the same again. You're just judgmental of other people.
But the dude doesn't drink beer anymore. It's like,
yeah, who needs beer when you
At
have
what
crack?
cost? At what cost? No, don't say that. But at what cost? At what cost? You have to be. You're thin, but no, being thin is worth it.
If I had to cut out beer, though, I don't think I'd even want to be thin.
Well, then just don't do it. You're looking great.
I feel like that's most of the carbs right there, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
That's mine.
But I get a lot of energy from beer, so it kind of cancels out.
I just eat beer.
Sometimes.
That is true.
So I think you are the first Ivy League educated person I've had on the podcast.
That's shocking. No, and I have a PhD, but it's not from Ivy League, it's from Penn State. But we are Penn State! Thank you, you're welcome! I'm very sportsy.
There's another comedian who she hasn't been on the podcast, but I used to do a lot of work with her down in Florida, Minda Mo. She hosts a lot of...
Okay.
Well, actually, I think she's got a different last name now because she married she's Minda Long now. She married another comedian named Dan Long. And she went to Penn State. And it's funny how you did the We Are, because she does a joke on stage where whenever, she wears a Penn State t-shirt.
Yeah.
And the guy yells We Are at her, and she yells rapists or just, whatever the funniest thing that comes to her mind is.
That is good. Yeah, no, but I did my PhD at Penn State and then went to Yale for my postdoc, which is the thing you do after you get your PhD. Once you get your PhD, you're still not qualified for any jobs, and you just have to do more other stuff, is what that is.
I think the idea of a PhD to me is it's just all that school. I don't think I could sit in a classroom, and it's you're telling me you have to even after 7 years.
Yeah, and it's not even. It's not so much classroom. It's more you're learning to be a good scientist. So you're working at the bench. I'm a scientist, so you're working at the bench, which is what we call the thing that we do the science on. And that sounds so stupid. I've never thought of that. And you're getting your skills, and the skills are about how you look at the world in a unique way, and how you're able to answer the questions, which are basically you're trying to develop the skill of unlocking all of the secrets, all of God's secrets, as he says. He calls me a naughty little science girl who's stealing God's secrets. Like, that's how
Always trying.
I've
to
heard
steal.
this is a joke you do on stage,
did that
correct?
once,
Yes.
Always trying.
And then
It's really
there's
cool.
something
Speaking
about
of
how something about the lab coats too,
Mhm.
right? Which,
The guys fetishize. He hasn't done it so much.
especially when they're wearing nothing else.
No, they're really not. So, like,
With nothing
it
else
bugs
under
me.
it.
It bugs me that I've dated guys
Fucking
who.
bed sheet is sexy with nothing under it.
you know, the things that she makes fun of you for on stage, I'm actually like hearing come out of your mouth right now. So I'm very glad
She's not making it up.
she brought you along.
I don't make things up. They're true. But he hasn't been weird about the lab coat thing, but like I dated a lot of guys, they find out that you're a scientist and then they it's like a fetish thing. It's just like, ooh, you're a scientist, like do you wear a lab coat? And I'm like, well yeah. And then I'm like, anybody can wear a lab coat. You could just like buy one and wear it. It's clothing. It's not like you're like gonna get arrested for impersonating a scientist. Like it's really fine. Anybody can wear a lab coat. But yeah, I wear a lab coat. And it's like bring it to the bedroom. And what bothers me, it's personal protective equipment.
Yeah.
It's not sexy. And it's like, if anything, if you're gonna fetishize protective equipment when it comes to sex, like why not condoms? Like why not the thing that will actually protect you during the sex? You're like, oh, safety is so hot. But no.
But I feel like guys would feel the same way about female firefighters.
Mm,
Wouldn't you? But I think females do that with male firefighters
you know
as
what?
well, don't
now
you?
that you bring up the
isn't
firefighter
that
thing,
safety equipment? You know.
maybe, can we get some firefighter outfits for each other?
They're so bulky.
Can we
I
get
mean,
them?
they really can't just.
Just get the Halloween costumes.
Yeah.
But those are
Yeah.
cheesy.
Do you know what you're gonna be for Halloween?
I have not. It's August.
Maybe just the boots. Maybe just the
Yeah,
boots.
it's August. It's August.
I'm guessing
You're
you
gonna be
decided what you're.
Yeah. So like no, so like we decided like hopefully we're still together by Halloween, and then we're gonna do a couples cut. Sorry for putting it that way.
Yeah,
Like come on,
that's
it's just reality,
ominous.
baby. But like it's we want to be. He has a bull outfit.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be a matador.
Oh, even if
Which I
we
know
break
it
up,
might
we're
be a
gonna have to
little
get back together for that.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna do it. I've never been a couples costume person because I'm a little bit. I'm too
My first
controlling.
time, baby.
I'm a little bit too controlling. Shh. I'm just joking. And so
Love it.
I wanna be exactly what I wanna be, and when the other person like is like, oh, I don't know what I want to be. It's like nonsense.
I'm
I
trying
can't
to
deal
think
with
what
this.
I was last year
Whoa.
for Halloween, if I was anything. I think I ended up working that night.
Pawn shop working?
No, I have various
Other jobs?
night
Oh,
jobs. Yeah.
interesting.
Everybody. Has
Other than
other
comedy,
jobs.
yes.
Just don't
No,
wanna
we
know
can't.
what
We
some
can't
of
all
those other
have
jobs
PhDs.
Yeah, you can't all just have a job that just pays you well. No, you could. You just have to
job.
work very hard
But
for a long time, but they pay you when you're doing that work. It's just so little.
right,
I was getting paid, like I lived in central Pennsylvania,
okay,
but like my stipend was like $20,000 a year, which is like a very small amount.
right.
But in central Pennsylvania, like a decade and a half ago, I was saving money. Like I was saving money, making $20,000. Also, I didn't have a life because like you can't. So.
Is there do you not have a life in Pennsylvania? The only.
No, it's a grad school thing. It's like you have to be. They chain you to the bench. So.
When did you start comedy?
Well, like technically, I was unemployed for a spell like about 4 years ago,
Okay,
and I lived in Worcester Square for a little while,
okay.
and then so I started going to Joker's Wild a little bit.
Really?
Yeah, but like I only really went up. I think I only went up once, and I was hammered. Like it was But it was kind of funny because the next day I was unemployed, so I was like living it up.
You know, I was a frequent
yeah, you might have been there.
comic at
I don't
Joker's
know.
Wild.
only-
I don't remember you ever being on stage.
And I would hang out there a little bit too. And it's funny because like I talked to Stosh, who I'm very good friends with now, but he
Stosh has been on the podcast.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
But he was like, "Were you
Stosh.
that lady who just like talked about rape?" And I was like, "No." And then I thought about it, and I was like, "Yes, I did." Open
You know
with a
what?
rape joke.
I remember you.
Oh,
I remember you from back then. Yes,
No.
it was like that was your whole set.
No, it wasn't. I opened with rape, and then I talked about some vagina stuff.
Yeah.
Which is something that I still, well, of course, I still talk about vagina stuff. But
But you got to realize, everyone in the audience, if you're talking about vagina and you open with rape, everyone's still thinking about the rape.
And then
You know,
she ended with dolphins.
it's gotta bring.
But like, no, but like, I was hammered, and like I'd written everything, and I'd written a lot of stuff, but like it was just like it was even the first time when had been writing since I started then, and I'd always been like a fan of comedy and just very interested in it, but it was something where it's like when I first started again officially about a year ago, and like actually started doing it like constantly.
Right.
Thinking back, it's short enough. It's like recent enough that I remember when I first started at least, I couldn't really take in what was going on. Like you're just kind of like.
Well, you're kind of so involved in yourself because
Yeah.
you're like, because you think, I think when you first start, you have like this notion that like all eyes are on you, like, but it's like you start to realize that like less and less people give a shit.
No, and like, well, okay. Let me also say
growing
that
up?
part of what was good for me was that it was like I didn't necessarily like just need a laugh coming in. It was just like I just want people to listen to me for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And even if they're not
I'm
listening,
picturing it's
they're
like-
being quiet for 5 minutes. That's fucking amazing.
I'm picturing it's like the first episode of Marvelous
Never
Miss
happened.
Maisel, and you just flash your goodies to everybody.
My goodies. Oh, gosh. No.
Take it off!
But like, oh yeah, and like you do get heckled in some crazy ways. But when I was first starting out, which is like I'm still first starting out, but it's like the first few times I went, it was you're not really there. Like you're not able to take in the input of what the crowd is giving you back. Like you're.
Why is that?
For me, at least, I was like, there was too much other, like, your focus.
Well,
was
you
going
said you were
somewhere
drunk
else.
too,
I
so
was hammered.
so
Because I didn't have a job, so I had no reason to like, it was just like I had no reason to not be hammered. I lived right down the street. Like it was.
you know.
Ooh, but I will say that I did a New Haven bike party the next day, which is some bullshit thing. Like you just, well, okay, it's fun, but
Right.
it's annoying because it's like people are too into it. You bike around New Haven in a big crowd of people. It's
Right.
obnoxious. And we went to like Space or something, and Space Ballroom, Space, whatever those things are there. And a woman there was like, I saw you last night. Like, she recognized me, like, from my first open mic. It was very bizarre. And then
Right.
she was like, the problem was, she was like this older woman. She was like,
Already getting advice
she
on
was
your
like, the
career.
problem was you were too high. And, like, she meant high, like, drunk. Because, like, that's how, like, old people say drunk, I guess.
Yeah.
And she was like, and you gotta quit it with this rape stuff. But I like your vagina stuff. You gotta stick to the vagina stuff.
There's
And
an
I'm
old
like,
Jewish woman.
yeah, and
at
I'm like,
that.
yeah, I'll just do
gotta
all
stick
vagina
to the
stuff.
vagina stuff.
So that is what I do now. Thank you.
Unsolicited advice from an old Jewish woman.
No, it was actually really
And that was
neat.
Adam Sandler's mother.
It was
I
actually,
built my boy's career, I can build yours!
it was really neat actually, because I was like, wow, like I just did this thing, I'm just like, doing whatever, and then this woman's recognizing me. It's kind of neat. But it is funny, like I met some people back then that I never kept in touch with, but like I'm glad like I'd been part of like I knew that some of the open mics were happening. It's
Right.
just like I got a job and I was like working and like I work at a biotech startup. So it's like, that was a lot of work in the beginning, especially because it's like you're just like trying to establish yourself, do a new job.
Excuse me.
Right.
And then, it was too intense. But I knew all the stuff was going on. Like I kind of knew also, like I was keyed in a little bit to the CT scene. Like there was somebody that I used to hang out with from Tinder. Like I don't know, he was trying to make us into like a relationship-y thing, but it was just like we would go to CT. I don't know how to improvise.
The CT improv room.
Yeah,
I've only been there.
It's neat.
I've only been there once, and it was like for this like New Year's comedy show they did, and they wanted somebody to come up on stage and summarize what they did in the past year, and I volunteered.
What had you done?
And it was at the time where I have this on my YouTube page actually. So somebody took a video of it, and I talked about how I lost my job in Florida. I got laid off, and after I got laid off, I sent my link to my comedy album to all the people that work in the school, and then I moved back to Connecticut and I got engaged. And they did like this whole like act like based on like
That's
the
so
story.
neat.
Oh yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
That's my fiance waving at us through the window there.
Bye. I think she's saying goodbye.
Oh, maybe she's leaving. I don't know.
It wasn't a wave hello. You misunderstood it. God, men don't understand women.
I don't know. I'm still annoyed at her for not locking up the beast when you guys were coming in.
Well, I think it gave you a chance to shine. I mean, that was a really good save.
You were a hero.
I was thinking in my head, go, go, and then I'm like, nope.
He's always trying to release a cat in a house where he lives.
Yeah.
Can't trust him with it. He's like, let them
I
free.
think the dog should.
Do you have any animals at home?
Yeah, I have a cat. He's the best cat in the world.
What's your cat's name?
His name is Charlie.
Okay.
Thank you for asking.
No, Charlie.
What? you seemed like dropping the name of the cat was like important, very important.
He's Charlie. He's so cute. He's so good. Okay, people think that I'm a cat person.
Right.
Because I'm obsessed with my
I'm a
cat.
human.
I am obsessed with my cat. I don't love everybody's cat. Like,
right.
I don't love every cat that I meet. I love every dog that I meet. But like most cats, I don't really care for those cats. My cat's better than the other cats.
You hear that,
Well,
everybody
they don't
out
care
there?
either.
Mega Harrison does not care about your cats.
Yeah, your cat has to prove itself.
Well, she does love Salem Kitty.
He had to prove himself.
He proved himself. Yes.
I love a cat if it proves itself.
That's a cat that lives where I live. And
you know what's? It's funny that I didn't realize that.
An important part of our lives.
Yeah, I thought you had only been doing comedy for about a year. Or maybe a couple of years.
I've only been doing it like seriously for a year, and even when I started, it was about a year ago. Like for real, when I started doing it, it was like I was just like doing some open mics, and then people were like, "You're gonna get obsessed with this. This is gonna become a thing." And I was like, "No, it's just whatever. It's just casual."
Right.
And then, because like before I did it, even what I was doing originally, I would kind of just go to the open mics and like see what it was about. I didn't just like dive right in. I was just like seeing what the vibe was.
New Haven's a great start too. Like we're the first people you got to know, like Stosh Makita, Dan Calloway.
I never met them or remembered them. I remembered Andrew Manning because we would hang out a little bit.
Andrew Manning, I saw him do a roast battle. That was actually the last time I was in New Haven, a few months back when I recorded Think Floyd, and Andrew Manning was in a roast battle with I forget who else, but he was like on fire. Like he's like, because I had known him from like years prior from Jokers, and like I was like, oh, moving to New York really really shaped this kid.
I remember
this kid up.
He was the only one I really remembered, other than like Darren Riviera was working at Jokers.
Rivera?
I don't know.
Riviera.
I don't know, but he doesn't like remember me or anything. But he was actually really nice when I was there. But like the only person I really remembered was Andrew Manning, and because we would kind of hang out because people thought we were the two chicks. So
You know what? I do, now that you explain, like, how you came into Jokers, I do remember you
That's
vaguely
very
from
strange.
Jokers. But I was there every week. Like, I was there on the weekends. I was there every Wednesday
Yeah.
for the open mic. So, you know.
No, and I was in a weird stage of my life because I was just between jobs, and I was still like jolly for some reason. I don't know. I was still on Zoloft, so I was like still jolly.
You know, I had a conversation with, I don't know if you know Dame FK. And I'm pretty sure it was
Like we're friends, I think, on Facebook maybe, but I don't know.
a conversation that I had with him one time was, he's like, I don't get it. We're like, Jokers is like right here in New Haven where like Yale is, and I know there's a lot of famous people that went to Yale and are comedians. They go to drama school there. Like, how come there's no comedians that go to Yale that come in here? And he's like, oh, he's like, yeah, all those like Yale people, they're all like rich and blah blah blah. Like, it's like they're the ones that are miserable. We're the ones that should entertain them. And I'm like, like, I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's really true.
It's definitely not. But also, I will say that when I lived in New Haven for 4 years, and I did not know that Joker's Wild was there, and I genuinely just stumbled on it by accident because I lived in Worcester Square.
Right.
And I was like
were you getting a slice of pizza or something?
I thought you were
like,
say
what's
you were
that place?
drunk and you thought it was your house.
I lived there. No, my shoes hurt, and like I was walking from downtown, and I lived like right like just a few yards from where Joker's Wild is. But I was just like, I can't walk anymore. These shoes are painful.
Right.
And then I was like, oh, what's this place? And I stopped in, and it was an open mic night.
Were you bummed out when it closed?
No, I had already moved to a different place at that time. So and I had just been like living my new life. Like I live in Middletown now, and it's just like I was a different person. But back to your question about how I like started in comedy again for real. There were like a couple of things. So it's like I'd always been kind of following it, and I'd always been kind of writing.
Right.
But then I had that catastrophic. I've been working really too hard, and I tried to take a vacation, but it was really catastrophic. Like, I was in love with this man for 16 years, and I was like, I'm going to go. Like, he invited, like, I had this weird little relationship with him.
This isn't Chris you're talking about here?
No.
He's much more intelligent than I am.
That's not
Chris,
true.
so I was assuming you two met at Yale. I didn't.
No. I met him,
I'm
can
a
talk
lucky
to you about how I
townie.
met him. But like there was this just random guy, whatever. This guy also, I met him during undergrad because it was 16 years ago. Not him, but like, and so I went to Croatia to like, and I was like, I had these visions of like, I'm gonna confess that I love him and like, whatever. And but it was like a shit show. Like I got mango face, like my face, like I'm allergic to mangoes, so like if I touch it or like see it or smell it, like it. My face, my eyes swell shut and everything. My face.
I'm glad I didn't have any fruit laid out for you.
Don't you dare put fruit. There was like
mango.
Poison ivy. It was like a poison
Because
ivy
it's
rash.
related to poison ivy.
Yeah, there was a rash.
I didn't know that.
For all you other podcasters out there, if you have Mega on your podcast, don't have any fruit for her.
Oh, never. No, don't have fruit.
Just beer and
Just
Sea
beer.
Hag.
No mango IPAs.
Sea Hag. By the way, the
It's
people
a sponsor.
over there at Sea Hag, if you want to send us some free ones, me or Mega, we would definitely appreciate that.
That's
Chris-
Chris's favorite beer in the
Chris
world, actually.
Chris also.
I have the old style cans that are like vintage now and somewhere. They're
He's
different.
a hoarder.
Vintage cans of Sea Hag.
Well, no,
Yes, that is
That just
what
sounds
you're
like
saying.
garbage to me.
It's just garbage.
it's like
I will
it's
show
like
you
that Dukes
his
of
car.
Hazzard
Lunchbox?
lunchbox. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, my dad has like vintage like
No, but
oyster cans.
The old Sea Hag can is amazing.
Because our family used to have an oyster company.
It has phthalo blues in it. Like the Sea Hag is much more like a part of it.
This is about me.
I know.
Are you originally from Connecticut?
The Sea
No,
Hag.
I'm from Maryland.
Maryland.
Yes.
The Bible Belt.
I don't know. Like, my family's atheists. My parents are...
A family of atheists. This, now I'm kind of, it's all coming together why you're a comedian now. A family of atheists from the Bible
No,
Belt.
my parents are... Yeah, but that is true. I did have a lot of friends growing up. It's not like we were, like, openly atheists.
Right.
We were just kind of, like, chill about it.
Polite about it.
Yeah. No, but, like, that's how you kind of should be.
Yeah.
That'll be the name of your first sitcom. Will be The Polite Atheist.
I like that. That's brilliant.
Oh, man. No, but it was... Both of my parents are very, very much atheists, and I don't want people to believe that... I don't want...
Not even agnostic, but
No.
atheist. I feel like
Right.
I feel like a lot of atheists turn agnostic.
How about... This is something...
I'd like to hear your reasoning
on
why.
our first date, we had this conversation, and he has this argument of like,
I'm a dummy.
so what's your argument about like why you have to be agnostic because it's some logical thing?
Well, there's either too much faith or too little faith in anything is that's the wrong way to start it. That's the wrong way to start it. Yes. So some people are believing in something that there is no proof for.
Lean into the mic a little bit, Chris.
Yeah,
Our people want to hear this.
Yeah,
some people,
with your thing.
you know, they need to believe in God for whatever reason. You know, it's cultural. This is.
But explain why you said. You're like, why are you? Why? How could you possibly say?
As
you're
a scientist,
atheist?
you can't be atheistic. You can't be an atheist because you have no proof that there is no God. I know this is a
People always
problematic
like to
argument.
use that.
Stephen Hawking would beg to differ.
People like to use that you're
No,
a scientist.
would he though?
Well, he's dead now, so I guess.
People like to use that you're a scientist.
Well, don't put your hand over his mouth. We were asking his opinion on something.
Finally get to talk.
We were cracking open beers, ready to hear his spiel on atheism.
I'm getting my footing
on my hands. It's like I'm feeding him.
It's like numbing a child.
But
there is no factual argument to say that there is certainly no God, just like there is no factual argument to say that there is a God.
Okay.
So, as a person of reason, the only
so
possible conclusion to keep your reason intact is to say, I don't know.
So on our first date, he brought this up and was just like.
Pretty deep for a first date conversation.
Yeah, I like to vet.
You like to get in. You like to get in there deep.
Yeah. So he did that, and then it erupted like a very big argument, which is our entire.
Then I shut up.
No, but then I was kind of just like my thing was like, I don't know. I just have blind faith that there is no God. Like I'm sorry.
You're no better.
Yeah, that's how it works.
It's funny how you use the word faith, though.
Yeah.
You have faith that there is no...
Yes,
you know what?
Exactly.
Megan, I have to say,
like
I'm
chess.
actually on Chris's side here.
I know, it's fine.
I know. Well, would you label yourself as agnostic, or do you actually... Okay.
My dad's born-again Christian. He believes that the Bible is the only book of facts that was ever given to man. And I've had to watch this my whole life. I love my dad. He's a great guy. He actually is a Christian. He chooses love over imperialistic conquering.
All right.
He didn't know that.
Nice guy.
Give me the baby, not the labor pains here.
He didn't know that when he was a younger man, so I saw him try to control things too much, which is a problem with religions. They always try to control things too much. They don't allow for humanity.
Okay. So, hence, you are agnostic.
I'm agnostic. I wouldn't have a... You know,
but
I try to.
Here's why I'm on Chris's side here, Mega.
No,
because
I agree. I understand it.
Here's with atheism. If you're wrong, you're going to hell. You're going to hell.
I thought about that.
Right?
Pascal's wager.
If you're agnostic, they say in Catholicism that the only unforgivable sin is not believing. Okay. So if you're agnostic and you're like, hey, I kind of believe. If you're wrong,
that's just a pussy.
You're still in. You're still going to heaven.
My idea is that if I ever
pussy
have to meet my maker,
pussies.
If I ever have to meet my maker, it's gonna be a square deal, and it's like I did my best. I don't know if you did your best. So you made me.
I think you should make that sitcom, The Polite Atheist. That way, if you you die and you see St. Peter, and he's like, you know what? I kind of like that show.
Get the people that wrote The Good Place. Get the people that wrote The Good Place to write it. Yeah. Sell a new point, but The Good Place is great. Like,
it's so funny that you mentioned The Good Place.
Because
I just listened to Kristen Bell in an interview last night talk about how her husband, Dak Shepard, has a podcast.
Yeah, I've listened to
I've taken a liking for her because of Meg.
And the whole interview was about, she was talking about how the two argue over the podcast guest coming over because he doesn't have a door on the bathroom in the attic.
Oh, I love that. And it's I've heard some of the stuff about that too.
He's like rude, blah blah blah, and I feel like, this is like my life. This is me and my wife arguing about how because that's the whole morning leading up to this was like me and my fiance. She's like, you got guests coming over. You know what the funniest thing was? I was like,
and I'm like late.
Just make sure the dog doesn't get out the fucking door.
It's actually better. I actually prefer it when people are a little late because it gives us more time to have, people come over. Because I was down there, she was down there vacuuming, I'm down there cleaning the carpet, right? And I said, and she's like, why are you doing that spot twice? And I'm like, this is where the dog doo-doos. And she's like, don't say doo-doo, say going to the bathroom. And then
doo-doo is too intense.
Yeah, she like.
It doesn't say shit.
We're like bickering a little bit back and forth, and then I'm like, you know what? I have Yale educated people coming over. Don't use person. I'm like, don't use words like doo-doo when they come over. I don't want to be embarrassed.
I was only educated by Yale to keep my place.
Oh yes, keep your place, baby.
Right.
And here I took it in as...
What were we talking about, though, before?
We were talking about you.
Oh, atheism and me. It's about me.
Yes.
And atheism. But he was also kind of just like, how could you be an atheist? And I was like, I don't know, man. I just am. I just am. Like, it's just I am. Like, he was like, no, but you have to be an agnostic. And I was like, but I'm not. I'm just an atheist. It's just the way it is. Like, just deal with it, bruh. The thing is, I was raised atheist, and I won't say that I'm not saying, anything about, religion being bad and, religion being a crutch.
Okay.
Because what I am saying is my parents raised me as atheists. They are atheists, and they are not good people, I don't think. Sorry, Mom and Dad, you're nice. They're not going to listen.
They're just doing what they can.
Wow. But you said that
they did some fucked up things.
They're atheists and they're not good people.
They're not great.
Is what you're telling me.
Yeah,
then why hold on to the atheism?
People aren't.
Wouldn't you rather be a good person?
No, all I'm saying is that there's no
language doesn't work with her.
No. And also, there's no correlation between either. There's no correlation between being religious or agnostic and there's no kind of ethical superiority among any affiliation to any of it because it doesn't have to do with any of that. It's not about that. So.
Is this what you learn over at the Skull and Crossbones over at Yale?
That's what they tell us. When we are taking the skulls of the poor and the crossbones of
many rich
the other poor.
Penis.
Okay.
That's and using them in our ritualistic types of things that we do that I cannot discuss further. Oh my god, I'm gonna be killed on the way out.
On the way out of here?
I don't actually do that. I tested it.
So, how I met Chris was, we met in New Haven, I met him at a gay bar, and I was making out with a few ladies.
Best place to meet women.
Is this a true story?
It is.
And he was very quiet. He seemed so sweet.
I got lots of tricks.
It was fake. He talks a lot. And I was making out with some ladies, and I was like, and I talked to him.
Lady Dionysus.
Yeah, and but then we didn't really I thought he was cute, but then I saw him again. I had been to Lyric Hall, the mic at Lyric Hall, and I had a nice night. And then I went over to Firehouse 12 in New Haven, and then he was there, and he was like, "Oh, I met you before," and I was like in a good mood and good spirits and all this stuff.
That's
and
the key.
That's how we kind of connected.
It's him on a good mood.
Okay.
Yeah, but like he's like a New Haven townie is how he kind of
Well, no, I've been labeled that.
characterizes
That's
himself.
not. I'd say a world-class thinker. Right?
Mm.
That's how I'd like to be labeled. But townie is what Yale's call me.
I thought New Haven townies we just called agnostic, or the other way around.
Yeah, pretty much.
I call myself probably an experiment.
Okay.
Oh, that's actually kind of true. Maybe.
You're one. Okay, because you're a scientist. You're her experiment.
Well, I was born at Yale.
Oh man. Yeah, I might have made you. I was born at Yale.
Okay.
I convinced a man that I went on some dates with this man, and I kind of feel like I might have convinced him that I made him in my bathtub. But then that was the guy that got
Was he taking bath salts?
I got in an argument with him over he thought it was okay to like clone people to like harvest organs.
Oh yeah, I like this one. This one's good.
That's like a thing in a sci-fi movie.
Special.
It is. There's a book about that, and
yeah.
I've read that book.
Well,
and
it's
been
just
in movies.
inciting and pisses people off. Like, you're so special, you can have another being made, so you can harvest their organs. What about their life?
Well, that's
Could
what
be much better than your.
That's what I
You
said.
you got it now. Like, I like how you go off on this.
I said, what is so fucking special about
Is there a
you?
way to just clone organs, though?
Yes.
Well, I think we're getting
So
there.
why can't you do that?
I
Yeah,
think
we're gonna
that's
be
the
able to
next.
do that.
I think
That's
that's
the
what it
thing.
is.
All right.
And I say yes
'Cause the ethical
definitively, but
thing
it's
is
really
run
actually.
Now I'm asking
It's hard with
these are
the
the important
podcast.
Ivy League questions I'm trying to
Yeah, no, these
to
are
get
interesting.
to.
I like these. I'll shut up.
No, I'm just saying it's hard sometimes when people are talking over each other.
Especially when you actually.
No, I mean
You're the best information
audio
for it.
visually.
What is like your main field of science? What do you actually do?
That's a good question. I can't really talk about what I do now.
Top
But-
secret?
It's a little bit secret, yeah.
Okay.
But
Fair enough.
Military knowledge.
my training is in molecular biology, biochemistry. And during my PhD, I studied viruses, and then during my postdoc, I studied basic cell biology.
So it's not what you do is not far from cloning people to harvest their organs.
Sure.
She knows
Now I
about
clone people.
what that looks like.
Now I clone people.
You're just
to
not allowed to
harvest
say it.
organs.
We have to. It's a lot of
That's why
skill
it's so
too.
hush hush. It's so hush hush. I'm like, you put them in your
Acclimate your
bathtub.
skills for
Does
that.
it have anything
And
to do
then
with stem
they're-
cells,
they're-
stuff like that?
Yeah, and then
Oh,
their dick comes
certainly.
out wrong. Like, and you're like, throw it away, burn it out back.
Got that boomerang, dick.
And then you
It's
make
like,
another-
that's not a problem.
You make another man. I know that's not a dick. I don't know.
That's a boomerang. That's a good one.
No, it's good, but it has to curve in the right direction. It's like you're like,
You can
oh,
always
that
go upside
curves.
down.
That doesn't curve where I want it. No, but like I'm talking about building the way that I made you. So it's like I want a man that has.
Is Chris a clone?
You know, it's
That's-
hard to
have
say.
you ever
know,
seen,
growing up in New Haven, you don't know what is real and what is not. Like that, I would say that's kind of true. Whether that's a joke or
Well, as a New
It's
Haven,
not a joke.
as a New Haven townie, I've often thought because I went to the University of New Haven, which
you
is
wonder
just
what they're up to.
just outside of New Haven,
Yeah, he has a house near around there.
West Haven.
Yeah, my great grandfather built it.
Oh, nice.
I've been working like a nut to.
What?
Well, a lazy squirrel.
To build it again.
A,
What were you
a
saying?
lazy squirrel?
He talks about
to
squirrels a
bring
lot.
well, so there's two categories everything in life falls into. Squirrels trying to get a nut, and nuts trying to get a squirrel. That's it. Everything in life falls into those two categories.
Okay, that's like I feel like that should be like the New Haven townie
I'd love
motto.
to-
That's like the mantra
I'd love
of
to,
the New Haven
I'd love
townie.
to infect people with
But
that.
so you were in New Haven for a little bit, but like, where are you from? You're from like
I'm
Florida?
from
What
Niantic,
happened?
Niantic, Connecticut. And
I've never
It's like
heard of
Yale's
that
Ferry,
place.
right?
so I went to the University of New Haven. I moved to Florida for a couple of years. Anyways, living in West Haven, like whenever I was in downtown New Haven, I always had this thought, like walking by like Yale buildings, and just thinking like, this town is so crazy. It's almost like it's like castles, like and like the rest of like these poor like peons basically are like outside these
the gates
castles.
are what stick out to me. It's like you can walk up to the gate, but that's it. Like this all exists. You don't know what's going on in there.
So what you don't
You're
even
only
understand,
allowed here.
what you don't understand
It's
about
crazy.
like when you do get
Imagine taking mushrooms and doing that.
So basically, is what you're telling me is like you feel like Aladdin and she's Jasmine you found at a
I don't know if I'd make that analogy. It might be loose.
Cute. Hey, how dare you? But what's interesting?
Well, she's not. She doesn't affiliate with Yale so much. She's more of a world class scholar. Not Yaley.
Oh, that's weird.
I'm a world class thinker.
Okay.
She's a world class scholar.
I'm
we just
talk
happen
about
to
Yale.
meet because of Yale.
I'm gonna get back to the Yale thing though, like the gates and like
the gates.
It is especially like when you're a postdoc there, you're not even really technically like
a student.
You're not a student. You're not even a grad student. So you're not really so much part of like the Yale community.
Yes.
Like you kind of just found a loophole in, and you get little like peeks into what that life is. Yeah, like you. Well, no, like I had some really good undergrads that worked for me that were very sweet people. But anyway, you get peeks into that life.
Okay.
And how
can you give me one peek? What is
going to a what's it called? Acapella show where it's like
Woof and Poof.
No, it was pre-Whiff and Poof, so it was Society of Orpheus and Bacchus, which is the
Ooh,
gayest.
I like that name.
It's the gayest acapella group at Yale. So that's like saying something, And I heard a man. There were just people. There were just it was like a different world. And I heard one of the men who was like had been in Society of Orpheus and Bacchus, the SOBs.
Okay.
Which they're so interesting because they do like really like weird fucked up sketch comedy and then juxtaposed with like classical acapella. Like
I would totally want to watch this.
It was, but like I only knew about it. I only like found out about this because I knew somebody that was affiliated with it, and I went there. I heard somebody. So like there were these young boys singing beautifully, and it was the 25th anniversary or something.
Little cherubs.
It was the 25th anniversary, so there was somebody who was like a legacy who was there, who was like, they sounded beautiful. They sounded as beautiful as their mouths would feel around my cock.
Like he said that on stage?
He said it. Off stage. I heard him.
Oh, okay. I was just...
But it was just the entire thing. I was like, I'm not supposed to see this. This is weird. And then, like, there are certain things, even when you go to people's houses in, like, the Yale colleges, and it's an entirely
Do you think that guy's involved in the skull and crossbones?
Yeah, totally. But, like, like the houses that you see, like, behind the gates.
I mean, the mouth around the cock guy, come on.
I've met plenty of people that feel that they can absolutely say stuff like that. And if they're comfortable to say it around you, you should be like, take it as a compliment, because you're not gonna meet people like that because they hide. They don't normally come out. They're lizard people.
Yeah. Okay. But like so.
And I feel like the full circle of the New Haven townie has come. Now it's like we're on to the lizard people.
Yeah. No, but I understand it a lot. This is like, and you get little peeks into it. You see also the difference between when you can get behind those gates and any of the residential colleges, like go to the dining hall or like to the where like
you can bend the rules only so much before the lizard people show up. And
right.
when
they
show up and they show you that they're lizard people, it's all over.
The point is, you see little snippets of things that are just not really part of like your normal experience. And also, you have access to things, even just if you're within the Yale community, that you wouldn't have otherwise. And like immediately, like I was like an employee of Yale, and then not. And like when you're an employee, you would get emails like, "This is a message from Chief Ron L. Higgins." Blah blah blah. He would tell you about bad stuff that was happening, and immediately I'm like not an employee anymore. And like Chief Ron L. Higgins doesn't give a shit about me. Like I don't know what's happening in town. It was horrible, and then there was a shooting.
She's walking down Whaley.
But that's the same thing.
I lived on what's it called? Dwight. I lived on Dwight for
Chief Higgins didn't tell her not to go down Whaley.
I lived on Dwight for a month, and there was like gunshots.
Yeah, Dwight is.
And Charlie was there.
Dwight is the edge.
He got to the ground immediately.
Charlie the cat.
Charlie the cat.
He got to the ground. He knew what was going on, but I was like, "What? Where's my message from Chief Ronell?" I was like, Charlie's like, "Bitch, get to the ground."
To the ground, yo.
I'm like, "Oh."
Ain't you been in the hood before?
People were shooting people. People were shooting people like right next door. Like, and that's what it is. Like, that's what it is. It's like.
But
there's more wood near the base of the wall.
These little weird gated communities that are like these luxurious. Like if you can never even get in there. Like even I got in there only a few times, and I got in there and I was just like, what is this?
But I think that's what we're getting at now is it's just the total class difference of New Haven. It's
so extreme.
It's an extreme class difference. You know, I feel like the only real peak we're going to talk about a peek into Yale society. I got the chance to see Paul Giamatti play Hamlet.
Nice.
Which was awesome.
At the Repertory Theater?
Yes, and it was, there's like a Thai restaurant across the street.
Love that place, Noodle
House.
And
Paul Giamatti was eating there.
Noodle
and
love that place.
The class, I actually went with my Shakespeare class at the University of New Haven. We went as like a trip. Now, we all sat at the same table. They invited the president of the university. University of New Haven's not quite Yale. It's not. I feel like they're not even the same wheelhouse.
It's great school. People come from all around the world.
But so I don't know why the president of UNH decided to sit next to me at the Thai restaurant, but he did, and I'm like nervous. I'm like, what am I going to say to this guy if he wants to start a conversation with me? Because I'm like, going for my bachelor's there. I'm like just this young kid. He sits next to me, and he turns to me and says, "You like Thai?" And I'm like,
"You like Thai?"
I'm like, "Yeah, you like shirt?"
Shirt?
It's actually a joke from The Simpsons, but
is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I love The Simpsons.
How did he respond, though?
How did the president respond? He actually turned to me and said, "That's offensive."
Really?
And I was like, I just didn't say anything for the rest of the time.
At least I didn't say, "You like expulsion?"
Yeah, seriously. That's offensive.
That's offensive.
I've never actually even had
to who?
I think it's a joke. I think it's a joke.
Yeah, it's a play on words. How is that offensive?
You're at a Thai restaurant. Like, why the fuck are you asking me if I like Thai anyway? What the fuck is this?
It's not like you were like
nonsense.
You like pee-pee in your Coke?
Like just because I'm an undergrad at your college and you're the president. Like,
did you say you like pee-pee in your Coke?
You didn't ask that.
Let's just be happy I didn't say you like pee-pee in your Coke.
Yeah.
You might have liked that. Man, I don't even know where to go from here. We both frequent the Hungry Tiger a lot.
Yeah, I like the Hungry Tiger.
How are you liking it? The Riff Bowl, which is
it's a rough mic, but that's kind of what I like about it because it's like a little bit like
it's a restroom.
It gives you a little bit of like a different edge. Like you kind of have to come there with like a different thing, so it's a different skill set. He's a very sweet man.
Yes.
What are you gonna do? What are you gonna say? You gonna talk shit about him?
No. We know Chris obviously just got up to use the bathroom. So
yeah, he's a very sweet man. I love him very much. I yell at him a lot. I'm very mean to him. He's the sweetest person in the world.
No, I'm glad you brought him along with you and added a new dynamic to the podcast.
Yeah, for sure. Like the bickering, like person covering their boyfriend's mouth dynamic. No, but like and he comes to he's very supportive. He like comes to a lot of the mics, and he's a good laugher, so that's good. Good laugher, but like that's true. Like some people as audience members, like I have friends come and they don't react the way that like they'll react, but they don't react the way that people want. People just want you to be like ha ha ha.
Right.
But they'll just be like, oh.
But honestly, the one thing I can't stand the most, if I bring like friends of mine to a comedy show and they will fake laugh and like deep, man. Like when they do like the deep fake belly laughter. Yeah. And it's like, if you ever, because I like to go back and watch I did that. I like to go back and watch videos of myself, and if like the only thing I'm hearing is like the deep fake belly laughter, it's very like distracting to try to figure out like how I'm gonna work on this material.
I know.
You know what I mean?
That's the thing that people kind of don't. And I've talked to some audience members too, and like some of them like are, and I understand this too about like watching live anything. You feel this weird responsibility to the performer to be there for them.
Right.
And that's hard too, like as someone who's viewing something. And then, but you shouldn't overthink it. Like, just like, if you like it. Don't feel bad.
Yeah.
Ever. Like, this is actually kind of part of, they need to, like, it's part of the, even when you're doing a show, like, you need to know when something's not working, when it's working.
Well,
just be honest.
Yeah, I think
as an audience.
At the same time, it's like, it is a tough rope to walk when you're a friend of a performer. Because it's like, on one hand, it's like, you don't want the deep fake belly laughter, but you also don't want criticism from them, because it's like...
And you don't want them to be like, well, it was really, I think it was okay.
But
it was not as bad as you thought.
It's
like,
hard.
What?
It's hard to get a critique from people that don't do it themselves. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. No, my mom watched me do some stand up. I have a very contentious relationship with my mother, but like she came to see some of my shows, and like she laughed so well.
Right.
So she was a very great laugher. But really, like, just for me. Like, she laughed at a couple, there were 2 shows that she came to see me do. And, like, she laughed some for, like, some of the other people, like, or she thought things were funny. She does have some hearing loss, so it's, like, a little bit, like, if the sound system isn't awesome, like, and your elocution isn't on point, like, it's not going to connect.
Right.
But, like, she was an amazing laugher for me. Awesome.
I think there's a difference with mothers, though. I think anyone that's like blood related to, there's a difference between that and the friends.
I was talking about like hairy balls, like his hairy balls.
I think the excitement their own blood being on stage, like they're actually doing this. She didn't come to my
PhD defense. She comes to my making jokes at a bar. I didn't invite her. I didn't invite anybody to my PhD defense. So right. That's on me.
Did you have a party when you became a doctor?
Yeah, well, okay. I guess I did. We went out. A little bit, and then there was like somebody else who was like still a grad student who was like, I don't think you should have graduated. I was like, fuck you, and I haven't talked to him since.
Wow. A friend of mine just became a doctor, and he had a party like back in our hometown at his parents' house, and he ordered an Uber Black for us to go to a bar. I'm like, I could just drive us, and anyways. Where the party's winding down, we take an Uber to a bar, and like this Uber pulls up. Instead of him like getting in the back, waiting for the Uber driver to fold down the seat, he like jumped over the back seat, and the Uber driver bugs out, and like you can't like be jumping over the like they got into an argument, and the Uber just left, right?
What the fuck?
And like this was the party for his PhD, and I'm thinking like, sure he's got a he's a doctor now, but he has no fucking common sense.
No, that is something that is really an example of some of the issues with a lot of people with PhDs, and like me included sometimes, but it's just like you do really live in such a bubble that you don't like, yes, you're very smart about something in particular, and then there's a weird perception from the outside
right.
of like what we are, and that we are like, we think we're superior, we think we're this or that. And then some people that have PhDs have different perceptions of what's going on out. They actually, not much. They're in such a bubble, they don't even think about anything else a lot of times. And it's just like, there's so much where people with a PhD don't have common sense. But it's annoying when you work with a lot of people who don't have PhD, and that's their big joke. Like, people with PhDs are dumb because they don't know how to do things normal. And it's like, all right, bitch.
Hence where the term quack comes from.
It's like, yeah, and ducks are great. Everybody loves ducks. Well, they rape, like full circle.
But I want to thank you for being on the show. I don't think you're a quack, by the way. I think you are one of the smart people that has a PhD.
Well, in defense of scientists as a townie, I'd say they have less time to sort of to socialize the way a lot of other people do, and a lot of their the conditions that they live under are sort of isolated and necessarily introverted.
Right.
They're not social situations, so it's no wonder to me that a lot of scientists lack social skills.
He's very cute, you guys.
Before we wrap up, is there any shows you want to promote? Anything you want to promote
I guess
for?
I'm going to be in New York on next Saturday, I think, at Pete's Candy Store. It's actually like a big
give
show.
the date because I'm not sure when I'm going to post this.
31 August.
August 31st.
That's how I say it. Dates.
New York, where?
Pete's Candy Store. So it's in Brooklyn, the Brooklyn area. It's like a real show. It's like Kate Willett and Dave Hill, I think, are like actual comedians. And,
sounds good.
Like professional ones, I guess. Like we're all actual. But and then I'm gonna be in at the State House on September 3rd.
Right.
State House is in New Haven. A bunch of people on that, and then some other stuff. Hot Slice Comedy next door. 21st of September. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Like that.
Any social media things you want to throw out there?
Social media is at Mega Harriso, MEGAHARRISO on Instagram, and on Facebook it's Mega Harrison, just MEGA Harrison, like the presidents.
Mega, thank you so much for being on the show. Mm-hmm. I'd like to thank your boyfriend Chris for coming in on the show too.
Matt, thank you.
That was great. And if you want to see me and Mega both perform, try to catch us at the second and fourth Tuesday of the month at the Hungry Tiger. If you're into that kind of thing. All right. Thank you for tuning in.